This message is for the dreamers, the determined, the brave. Yes, you who have always desired a job in tech and have stepped out of your comfort zone to pursue this dream. This is your year. The tech world is not just for techies, it's for anyone who dares to dream, to learn, and to grow. Remember, you're not just changing jobs, you're transforming lives, yours and those of your loved ones. You might feel out of place at times, unsure, or even overwhelmed. Yes, the road to six-figure tech role may seem daunting, but within you lies the strength to overcome, the capacity to learn, and the power to succeed. Let this new year be the year you redefine what's possible. Your path in tech is not just a possibility, it's your reality waiting to be shaped. We believe in you. Now take the lead. Remember, your only limitations are the ones you set upon yourself. Good luck, and may this year be your best year yet.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Not sure where people are joining from, but welcome to today's session. Today promises to be a super exciting session. In fact, this is a session that we planned exclusively for TCA students, so people that are already part of the TCA family. But on persuasion, we were told, why don't you open it up to anybody that would like to advance their career in 2025? So anybody that wants to dominate 2025, anybody that wants to get ahead of their peers in 2025. And that is the reason why we're opening it up. So welcome. Today is, we've titled this webinar or this workshop, the 2025 Tech Career Planning Workshop. So we have a lot in store for every single person on the call. And my promise to you is that there is a lot that you can take away. And these are actionable insights that will completely transform your career. So before we dive a bit further, I would quickly introduce myself for those that may not know me. So my name is Stephen Adindu, and I'm the lead coach at the Career Accelerators, where we help non-tech professionals transition into fantastic tech roles. And I have over 15 years experience in the tech industry. I obtained my PMP in 2020, CSM in 2020 as well, my CBAP 2018. But what I want you to pay attention specifically to is 2011, which is 13 years ago when I got my Prince 2 practitioner. So I have been in this space for at least 15 years. And over this period, we've helped thousands of people make that fantastic transition into the tech space. And as we go on this journey today, I want you to remember something. This is a quote that resonated with me so much, and I said I would use it and share it with the team. So every successful career is built on two key ingredients. One, a clear plan, and the courage to take the first step to bring the plan to life. So one is not just about planning, but number two, it's about taking the steps required in order to actualize that plan. And that is something I want us to kind of have somewhere at the back of of your minds today as we go on this journey, because it will be a super insightful journey. A little bit more about myself. So I have been in this industry for about 15 years, and during this period, I've worked with multiple companies. I've interacted with different people, but people onshore, offshore. I've worked across three different continents. And what that gives me is not just the breadth of knowledge, having worked in multiple roles, but also it gives me the depth of knowledge as well within each of these specific roles, as well as within the industry. And there are steps that I have taken personally that has resulted in my career panning out the way it has, which is fantastic, by the way. And one of those steps is just being able to plan in advance, being able to take advantage, being able to move while others are sleeping. And that's why we're here today. So we're here today to take charge of our 2025. Now, there are a few things I'll share with you throughout today's session that would help you understand why you need to do this now and not wait till January, which is the biggest mistake a lot of people make. So stay with us. There's a whole lot that we have to offer. And the other thing I would like to mention as well is that this is one of those sessions where you take away tangible strategies. So you're going to leave here with something fantastic that you can implement right away. Okay, so welcome. Just a little bit about the organization, the Career Accelerators. So what we do is we help non-tech professionals transition into fantastic tech roles through our innovative and practical training framework. So we've been doing this since 2018 as an organization, but personally, I have been doing this since 2014, which is 10 solid years. So we understand what the strategies are, we understand what the tricks are, we understand what's going on within the industry as a whole, because you understand the industry and then you position yourself accordingly for the industry. So we will be diving into all of that today. One of the questions that I've heard a lot over the past 6 months is, Steve, there's a tech layoff. There are lots of organizations that are laying off their tech workers. What's going on? Is the tech industry dead? We're going to answer all of those questions today. Okay. But before we dive in further, I would like to find out where people are joining us from. So we have quite a few people on the call, and I'd like you to please just put in the chat where you're joining from, just so we know the different people we have in the room. So wherever you're joining from, just put it in the chat where you're joining from so we can know. Oh, I can see someone from Poland. Welcome, Mariam from Poland. Hey, David from Nigeria, welcome. We're from Toronto, welcome, welcome, welcome. I've got TJ Johnson from Michigan. Welcome, TJ. I've got Logan from Kentucky. Welcome, Logan. Sunda from California. Welcome, welcome everybody. I've got Solomon from Nigeria, Masilia from Ireland. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is one of those two sessions that after you've invested in this 2 hours that after you've invested, you will not regret having spent this time, because you will learn a lot about what's going on in the industry. But more importantly, you take away actionable steps that you can implement from day one, well, from today even. So stay with us as we go through. Just first things first, just wanted to share the agenda so everybody knows how we're going to go through today's session. So we will start off with an introduction and overview, which I'm kind of doing at the same time. But one of the things I want us to look at is the state of the tech industry. So a lot of people have heard a lot of things about the tech industry. I want us to spend some time today to understand what is really going on. Why are we where we are right now? And what's going to happen over the next couple of months, over the next couple of years, but primarily for 2025, what's going to happen? And then we're going to go through how to plan for 2025. So how can you position yourself? How can you, Emmanuel, position yourself? How can you, Sean, Zandili, how can you position yourself for 2025 in order to be a step ahead, in order to be 2 steps ahead, in order to be to succeed in 2025? And then we're going to look at the second part, which is, okay, so now I know what to do. How do I execute on those steps? So we'll go through the 2 phases of planning for 2025. And then we're going to talk about how TCA can help you, because we actually can help, but we'll talk about that last. The most important thing is to help you understand how you can take full advantage of 2025, okay? Now, our promise to you is that if you stay till the end, number one, you will understand the current state of the tech market. So when you're having a conversation with someone and they say something incorrect, you can actually correct them and correct them with evidence. You're also going to learn about the outlook for 2025. So what's going on, what's coming? There's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence today. What does that actually mean for you and I that are aspiring tech professionals, or maybe within the tech industry already? You're going to learn practical strategies for planning your career in 2025. So it's not just about, I want to get a job in 2025. No, like, how can we turn that dream, turn that wish, turn that ambition into an actual plan that we can work with, follow up with, and design the life we want in 2025? And then you also take away you learn practical strategies for planning your tech career in 2025, take away practical career planning worksheet. So we have a worksheet that we created ourselves, which will help you plan your career. And then you will learn how we can help. And there's so many other things that you're going to learn as part of this session. Okay. Before we kick off, just a word of advice, because this is something that we notice happens a lot during our call. So we just want to make sure that's from right off the bat, we help you understand how best to succeed in these 2 hours that we have. So number one is please ensure that you minimize distractions. So if you're in a noisy place, you can move to a quiet place, just so you can learn, understand, and grasp as much as you can from today's session. And then secondly is use the chat box. So we're going to have a lot of conversations, a lot of interactions. Like I said, this session was originally meant for our students, but we thought, why don't we open it up so both our students and other people that would like to take charge of their 2025 can join and be a part of this session. So if you do have any questions, please put it in the chat as we go. We'll pause every now and again to answer those questions. And yeah, please do ask questions. We strongly believe that you learn a lot more through questions. So please do ask questions. So if I'm saying something and you get to a point where you're thinking a question, don't hold it for too long. Just pop it in the chat. We'll come back to it. We'll answer the question. There's nothing as a dumb question. So if it's something that we can answer now, we can book a session with you afterwards and answer that question for you. Okay. But let's make the most of this session. Now, it might just be one thing I say, it might be two things I say, it might just be something, a concept I explain that will completely transform your career in 2025. So please pay attention. Let's go on this journey together. Okay. So first things first, we have come to realize that no matter how fantastic your plan is, if you don't have the right motivations for the plan, it ends up being a struggle. So let's say I want to, get a job that pays $100,000, but I don't really care. Like I'm good. I have 10 million in the bank. Like there's really no drive to go get that $100,000 job. But then let's say you are in a situation where, let's just say, for example, and I'm going to paint a picture. Let's say you're an international student that have just relocated to US, to Canada, to the UK, and you're trying to wrap up your studies, whether it's a master's, whether it's a diploma, and at the same time you're thinking about your future. So what do I do after this? I do not want to go back to my home country. I want to stay here. I want to build a career here. I want to build a life here. um, your motivations are completely different. So one of the things we strongly believe in is that motivations play a critical role in our lives. And when we get to the planning side, you'll see what I mean by that. So we strongly believe that motivations play a critical role in our lives and in our decisions. And I have met people that have been motivated to earn big for multiple reasons. Again, some because they want to prove something to somebody else, others because their friends are doing it, others because they desire something better with them for themselves. There are different reasons why people do these things. So we're just going to go on a brief journey to look at the different motivations that people have and that drive people to desire more for themselves and to desire more for their careers. So the first one is being able to maximize their qualification. I have seen so many people that have university degrees, that have master's degrees, people that have PhD degrees that are still doing menial jobs, that are still underemployed, that are still doing customer service jobs with their masters, with their PhDs, with their university degrees. And in some of those cases, the people they report to do not even have those degrees. It's not great. And this is the reason why we strongly believe that we can help them leverage their degrees, leverage their education. Some of these people spent years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years acquiring those certifications. They can actually use it, but sometimes they don't know how to use it. They don't know where to start from. They don't know how to maximize their qualifications. So what if there was an opportunity for them to actually maximize their qualifications, take their university degrees, take their master's degrees, and secure a fantastic job that helps them be the best version of themselves? Now, another motivation is for people that would love to build a professional career. I've seen people that end up getting, customer service jobs with their master's degree. And before you know it, they are trying to, get promoted within the customer service space. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking anybody, but the reality is they deserve better. You deserve better. And that's the reason why with some of the conversations we're going to have today, you would realize that you can actually build a professional career where you're growing from, an individual contributor, a specialist, an analyst. You're growing to become a manager. You're growing to become a senior manager. You're going to become a director. You're going to become a VP. You can actually see your path to the top. That is what this is about. So some people may be in this situation where they want to build that professional career where they can just gradually grow and get to the very top, acquire whatever skills they need, but just keep going constantly to the very top. Now, another major motivation is work from home. These days, this is the new norm with a lot of uh, tech organizations just requiring people do the work you need to do. As long as you're delivering, as long as you're attending meetings, we're having those conversations, you're good, right? So this is a major motivation because we've seen a lot of people. We had a student who used to commute 2 hours to work and 2 hours from work every single day, 5 days a week. Now, each day she spends 4 hours just traveling to work and back. 4 hours. What does that translate to? 20 hours every single week, just on the road, no value added, just on the road, going to work and coming back from work. And that is half of your work week completely gone. And then she secured a job that allowed her to work from home 5 days a week. So that completely disappeared. So she was able to save 20 hours every single week. So what if you can get a job that allows you to work from home? And then also, a lot of people would like to start having long-term plans, like buying a house, investing, etc. But sometimes because you don't have a stable career, because you don't have a permanent job, because you're not able to build a professional career, you can actually make those long-term investments and long-term decisions. But what if you can actually position yourself to take full advantage of the opportunities around you and start making those long-term investments? And then last, this is my personal favorite. What if you had more time to spend with your family, your kids, your spouse, your parents, your siblings? What if you actually had more time to spend with them? So you're working from home, or you don't even need to worry about like doing crazy shifts. I was talking to a student once who that shift was crazy. So it was literally had two jobs, and these were two personal support worker job. So literally 16 hours every day she was working, no weekends, literally nothing. And then she was able to get a job that allowed her to work 9 to 5, and she was still making more than those two shifts. So what if you had the opportunity to spend more time with your family? Now, this is the reason why every single person is on this call, and this is the reason why you need to plan in advance. This is the reason why you need to position yourself. You don't allow things to just happen. You plan for things to happen. You put a strategy in place that enables things to happen. So I strongly believe at least one of these motivations will apply to someone on this call. And if it's you, then you are in the right place. You can actually plan for the new year. 2025 does not have to be like 2024. It could be a completely new year. It could be a year that you completely transform your life. We're going to go very quickly because I'm sure some of this may be more of a reminder for people, but there may be some people that genuinely have not planned their year before. Maybe there's some people that have not really considered, okay, I can actually plan my year in advance. So for those people, I want to answer a very important question that you may have. Why is it important to plan? And then after this question, I'm going to talk about why now? Why not wait till 1st of January? So a long time ago, I used to wait till 1st of January, and then I pick up a piece of paper and then I start planning on the 1st of the new year. But then I realized 6 years ago that the best time to plan is before you actually start, not after you've started, not after the year has started. It's before the year starts. You plan so on day one, while other people, the 95% are still recovering from the holiday hangover, etc. You're already at work. You're already executing from day one. So imagine running a race where you have a heads up, where you're already, miles ahead of your competitors or the people you're racing against. It's a no-brainer. You will win. because you're ahead. So why is it important to plan? It's important to plan because it gives you clarity of purpose. You know where you're going. It helps you avoid distractions because without a plan, it's easy to get sidetracked by, seemingly urgent but not essential tasks. Okay, so it also helps with prioritization and focus. You know exactly where you're headed. You know what you need to do to get there. And every single day you have that goal in view. It helps you be proactive where you think about these things in advance, as opposed to being reactive where you wait for something to happen and then you react to it. So it helps you to track progress and accountability. The fifth one is something that I have personally experienced as well. So it helps to reduce stress and boost confidence. A lot of times when you don't know where you're going, there's a little bit of anxiety there. Just you're worried because you're not sure, right? Because you don't know what the next step might bring. You're just anxious. But then when you have a plan, you know where you're going. Even if something comes in, even if an uncertainty appears, you know where you're headed. You can actually respond. So in that case, it's more of a response, not a reaction. You're responding based on the plan you have. And then the fifth one or the sixth one is to achieve long-term success. So without planning, there's this saying that failure to plan is planning to fail. And that can be any more true than it already is because it's like having a roadmap. I don't think these days you have this navigation system, you have your GPS system, and every single person, when you're going somewhere that you've never been before, you just put the postcode in your Google Maps or Waze or whatever app you use, and it takes you to your destination. Imagine going to the same destination without the map. It's going to be chaotic. You either stop and ask people, how do I get to this location? Which is not fun, especially if you live in a part of the country or part of the world where there's a lot of cold. Where do you start from? So having a plan makes a world of difference. Now, secondly, why now and not in the new year? Because it gives you a head start. You avoid the new year rush. You have more time to reflect and plan. You start the year with confidence. You have your holiday, you have your downtime. You use that to not just have a good time. By the way, I have absolutely nothing wrong with people having a great time during Christmas, but whilst you're having a great time, you need to lay the right foundation for the new year so you can have a better, great time next year. And then you build a plan, not a resolution. A lot of people come up with New Year resolutions on the first day of the year, and by the third week, they're back to status quo. No, but when you have a plan, you have something, you have an action plan, you can work towards achieving your goals with the action plan or based on the action plan. Okay. So now let's look at a lot of people hear about tech is the new gold. Tech is the next big thing. Everybody's going into tech. But let's look at the tech industry a little bit more and let's try and understand a few things about the tech industry because most times when I talk to people, I feel like there isn't a full appreciation of how big the tech industry is or how impactful the tech industry has been, currently is, and will be. This is a revolution. It's not just an industry, it's a complete revolution. And we're going to look at some stats on the screen that would help you understand and appreciate how big this tech industry is. So first of all, the current market size in 2024, which is this year, is 9 trillion, $9 trillion. And then it's forecasted to grow to $12 trillion by 2028, which is in the next 3 years. $12 trillion, not billion, not million, trillion. That's the value of the entire industry. And then some more specific stats around the tech industry. When you look at the top 10 companies in the world in terms of market capitalization in the whole world, 80% of them are tech companies, not finance, not health, tech. The other two companies, one belongs to Saudi Arabia, which is called Saudi Aramco, which is an oil company. And then the second one is Warren Buffett's company, which is an investment company. But all others are tech companies. Facebook, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, tech companies. it just shows you where the world is at right now. There's a lot of opportunities in the tech industry. There's a lot of openings in the tech industry. And 92% of job roles will require some sort of digital skills or the other. Right now, 92%. So whether it's, being computer literate or having the ability to use systems. So tech has now been infused into every single thing we do. This is the reason why we need to plan properly, because with some of these stats in mind, you're not thinking, is there an opportunity for me? No, you actually know that there are more than enough opportunities for you as an individual. Let's look at the next stat. 90% of organizations worldwide will be affected by the IT skill shortage. So tech is booming so much that the problem is not a lack of opportunity, but a lack of skills. So the skills are in demand. The question is, do you have the skills? Are you ready? Right? So by 2026, 90% of companies will be impacted by this skill shortage. And then the fourth stat, which blew my mind when I saw it, is actually shouldn't be 100%, it should be 134%. But the average rate at which the tech jobs continue to outpace growth in other roles and other sectors is 134%. So just think about that for a second. You have tech jobs and then you have the other roles. The speed at which this one is overtaking the others is 134%. So it just shows that there is a huge, huge, huge opportunity within this space. Okay. And according to the projections by the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the next 10 years, the tech workforce will grow twice as fast as the overall US workforce. Why are all these stats important? Because I'm sure someone may be wondering, okay, why, what does this have to do with planning? You need to know what you're planning for. We're planning to take our rightful position within the tech industry. This is why this is a tech career planning workshop. So there are lots of opportunities, but we need to position ourselves for those opportunities. I didn't want to start with just talking about the opportunities without helping you understand how big the market is. If you go into any of these job sites, you'll see lots of jobs. I have hired so many people myself, and I know that the problem still is a lack of skills. If I meet a great candidate, it's an easy decision. I don't even have to interview them twice. But most times we have to sieve through a lot of unqualified candidates before we can find the real candidates. And that is why we're having this conversation today, to learn how we can position ourselves to be that preferred candidate come 2025. So what is 2025 looking like in the first place? Now, we're going to go on a short, very short journey. And this journey will be super helpful for everybody on the call, because you will actually understand what's going on right now in the world when it comes to the macroeconomic factors affecting you and I as individuals. A lot of people would have heard of an economic slowdown, and a couple of months ago there was this whole thing around, that will there be a recession? Will there not be a recession? What's going on? People are struggling, job losses, etc. But this is not the problem. This is the consequence of certain things that happened 4 years ago now. And I want us to kind of go on that journey. I'll be quick, but I need everybody to understand why first of all, where we are in the grand scheme of things, why we're where we are, why we're here right now, and then where we're going. So what the next couple of steps are. So we'll go right back and start from, I would have loved to start from 2000, but we don't have time, year 2000. So I'm going to start from 2020 rather. So there are some major events. There was one in 2000, there was one in 2007, 28, 29, and then there's another one in 2020. So 2020, we had COVID lockdowns. So COVID, this virus thing, there was actually a time, believe it or not, where you go into a store, you couldn't find tissue paper, you couldn't find sanitizers. There was actually a time when that was a real thing. I don't know if anybody here remembers. If you do remember, just put it in the chat if you remember, and maybe just put a one sentence how you felt during that period and how much transformation has happened right now. So yeah, I would like to see a couple of comments in the chat just to find out if I'm the only one that had to struggle for tissue paper and had to queue on long lines to buy things. Oh yeah, so TJ just confirmed. It was crazy. Just looking at what the world looks like right now, you will never believe there was a time like that. So okay, so we had the COVID lockdown in 2020. And then after that, we had the uh lots of governments where I can see Jesuwale sad memory. Absolutely. It was a crazy time. Everybody thought the world was going to implode. But after that, we had governments were afraid and they decided, okay, how do we stimulate the economy? Because lots of people were laid off. The hospitality sector was non-existent. These days, you go out, you have a nice meal at a restaurant. It was non-existent. Everything was online. You had to order social distancing, sanitizers, face masks. It was crazy. But what happened? Because we had the lockdown, governments had to stimulate the economy. So a couple of things happened. They gave people free money. And for those that are wondering if free money actually exists, yes, people were given free money. And then other people, lots of people were laid off, and if you were affected, you were given free money. And what the government did was they lowered interest rates. They lowered interest rates so people can, organizations can borrow more, organizations can do more. So they tried to stimulate the economy artificially because of COVID. What happened? They reduced interest rates, gave away lots of free cash, and there was a market boom. So it was crazy, but the stock was going super high, like the value of the stock market was going high. You had lots of people buying houses. So there was just so much money in circulation. What happened? It resulted in high inflation. So come 2022, there was a realization that wait, we may have made a mistake. We may have, given away free money for too long, or we may have allowed this, free money season to carry on for a little bit too long. And we had a high inflation, and the government started panicking and realized we need to do something about this high inflation. What typically happens when there is a high inflation is the government tries to tighten the economy. So they try to squeeze the economy. They try to make things more difficult for people within the economy. And by the way, for those wondering what inflation is simply when the amount of money in circulation grows faster than the number of things available to buy. So this means that people have to spend more money to buy the same amount of goods and services because there's just more money in circulation. Okay. So with high inflation, and it's a problem, by the way, so it's a problem for governments. With the high inflation, the governments realized, okay, we need to tighten things up. What did they do? They increased interest rates. So they gradually increased interest rates. And this is where we had the whole, economic slowdown. Mortgage rates went through the roof, car payments went through the roof, credit card payments went through the roof. Literally anybody that had any debt, the cost went through the roof. And then this is where you now had companies collapse. This is where you had the famous Silicon Valley Bank. I don't know if people remember, but Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, collapsed, and a lot of other organizations collapsed during this period. So what has happened since then? Because of the increased interest rates, the economic slowdown happened, and the inflation has now come down. So right now we're sitting at about 2 point something percent interest rate. At some point it was 9 point something percent. So the government have been able to successfully manage inflation. However, the role of the government is twofold. On one hand, manage inflation. On the other hand, they are supposed to keep the economy afloat by creating jobs or creating an environment that allows organizations to create more roles and the number of jobs to increase. So they've done a good job in terms of inflation. Now they need to change the focus and look at the job market. So what are they doing to do that? They are now reducing interest rates. So over the past couple of months, you would have heard the Fed has reduced interest rate, what is 0.25. I think last week, the Fed in Canada reduced interest rates by 0.5. What are they signaling to the markets? What are they trying to do? They're trying to say, we're ready. We're ready to support the economy. We're ready for an economic boom, right? That's the scenario. That's why we are where we are. Again, this is not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just an understanding of the times and seasons, which is required in order to effectively plan. Because if you know what's coming, you can position yourself properly for what's coming. A lot of people don't realize that understanding times, understanding seasons is critical to the planning process because you're able to predict based on what has happened so far, what will happen over the next couple of months, over the next year, over the next couple of years. Okay, so that brings us to where we are. So what's going on in 2025? What are we looking at in 2025? What are we expecting in 2025? So let's look at a few things that are happening in 2025. So you have artificial intelligence, you have ChatGPT, you have lots of AI tools out there, and these guys are doing an amazing job, an incredible job. Like it's mind blowing what you can do with AI these days. And it just shows you how the tech industry, and don't forget, this is all tech related. By the way, I'm sure some people will be wondering, what is Donald Trump doing on this list? Just hold on. Don't just pause. We'll get to Donald Trump in a second. So you have artificial intelligence. You have also blockchain technology. So there are lots of discoveries around blockchain, around cryptocurrency, and these will they will play a major role in 2025. And this is why we need to get ready. Cloud computing as well, cybersecurity as well, because as long as we're in tech, the problem or the challenge or the risk of cybersecurity is not going away as long as we're in tech. So as we're making more discoveries on how to manipulate tech, on how to leverage the power of technology, we also need to think about how about those people that want to hack into this technology? How about those people that want to take advantage of this technology? So that's the reason why cybersecurity is a big deal. And then you also have lots of organizations that are looking to embrace these new concepts. For example, these days, lots of organizations are undertaking projects where they are infusing elements of artificial intelligence into their operational activities. And this means they need people to come on board to help them deliver these digital transformation projects. So 2025 is looking like a pretty busy year. These are just some of the highlights. And then last but not the least, we have Donald Trump himself. Now, Donald Trump has made a lot of predictions. He has made a lot, not predictions, he has made a lot of, he has said a lot of things about what he's going to do when he takes office. One of which is he's going to focus on making America great again. Now, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. That's not the purpose of this conversation. But what he's trying to do is to help American companies grow. And if there is anything that he can do or policies he can put in place for American companies, he's going to put those in place. He has said things like he wants America to lead the AI race, which is a good thing for Americans. He has also said he wants Americans to be at the forefront of cryptocurrency, again, which is a good thing. Now, whether he does it or not, it's a different conversation, but he has said he's going to do it. He has said he wants America to be at the forefront of electric vehicles, which is, the likes of Tesla, etc. So you can see that there's a lot of there's a lot of interest within the tech space. And if you have the most powerful man in the world saying that he wants to support tech, then it can only point in one direction. But before making any assumption, I want us to go through a quick quiz or just a quick poll. Let's make a prediction for 2025, shall we? No, this is not supposed to show this way. Anyway, How many people agree that next year there will be a boom? And how many people think there will be a recession? Can you just put it in the chat? Please don't take my word for it. Boom or a recession? What do you think? Let us know in the chat. For 2025, what is your outlook? Prakash thinks it's a recession. Okay. Onyebuchi thinks it's a boom. Okay. Wenga boom. Jesuale stability. I'm interested in what stability means. Adenike boom. Akin boom. Marian boom. Thant don't know. Marcelia boom, I hope. Okay, so we have quite a few people expecting that there will be a boom, and quite a few expecting that there will not be a boom, and some people are kind of on the fence. Okay, my prediction is simple, and again, you have to check where things are going. There's a wise saying by one of the major stockbrokers in the world. I think it's his name is Carl Icahn. And I think he's the one. So there's something he says: never bet against the government, or never bet against the feds. Whatever you do, never bet against the feds. What does that mean? It means that if the feds are going in a direction, so for example, at some point, the feds were trying to tighten the economy and make things tough for people, for businesses, to reduce inflation. If someone is expecting a boom on the back of that tightening, then they'll be making a mistake. Now, the feds are reducing interest rates in order to stimulate the economy. It can only lead to one direction, which is they want to encourage businesses to go out and take risks, hire people, undertake projects, do new things. That's the direction it's pointing. So my prediction is that 2025 will be a great year. And then also, I know I put Donald Trump last, but ever since Donald Trump won the election, the level of optimism has been on a different level, as is evident in the stock market. And I'm just using one side. I know, not everybody, again, this is not even a personal thing. It's just we're following the trends, we're following the economy, we're following the macroeconomic factors. There has been a lot of positivity around him. And when I say positivity, in terms of the economic impact to him taking office. And it just shows that once he gets in, he's going to focus on helping the US become more successful. He is a businessman. So for me, it points towards a boom. What does that mean? Even for our students as well. So this is like another data point. For our students, we've seen a lot of people over the past 1 month or 6 weeks. There are lots of opportunities out there. Lots of recruiters are calling. Someone actually got 2 jobs recently. And lots of other people have gotten fantastic jobs this period. And they're still getting calls. Even after they got 2 jobs, they're still getting calls for other opportunities. So there has been an uptick in the market in terms of there's increased optimism. What does that mean? It means for 2025, organizations, remember, this is not about you and I, it's about organizations planning for the future. So 2025, organizations will want to take advantage of this boom. They know what's coming. They can borrow money cheaper than they were able to do last year, right? Right now, money is cheaper. So organizations have all the raw materials they need to grow, which is why I feel like next week there will be an economic boom. So there'll be more opportunities in the job market. There'll be more, tech jobs for sure. There'll be more money. The stock market will keep going up. Bitcoin will keep going up for those into crypto. There'll be more positivity when it comes to the financial affairs of people. So with that in mind, and with us riding the wave of the government looking to stimulate an economic boom, because again, they can't just allow the market to crash. They have to encourage organizations to employ. They have to encourage organizations to grow, which is why they need to stimulate this. The future is bright. I can tell you for a fact that the future is super bright. The question now becomes, are you ready? When those opportunities come up, are you ready? When those companies start reaching out to you, are you ready to go for that interview? Are you ready to take up these opportunities? That's the real question. And in some cases, there's some roles that have been in demand, will still be in demand going into the new year. And we're going to look at some of those in demand areas in tech in a second. By the way, I know I said this before, maybe I'll just repeat it now. If you do have any questions, please pop it into the chat, okay? Just so we can pause and take some of these questions as we progress. Okay, so this leads us to some of the in-demand areas in tech. So I want us to think about, if you're preparing for something, or if you want to transition into tech, what's the better way? Is it better to go into an area that is saturated or to go into an area that is still in demand? And this is why I'm highlighting these in demand areas, because all I ask you to do is just go on any of your job boards, regardless of the job board it is. Just find any job board, jump on it, and type in any of these roles. You'll see the opportunities that will pop up. Like I said before, the problem is not a lack of opportunities. The problem still remains a lack of individuals with the actual skills. Okay? It still remains a lack of individuals with the actual skills, not a lack of opportunities. And some of these are the areas that are in demand. There are other areas as well, but these are the tech areas that are in demand. So you have the role of a business analyst, you have the role of IT project managers, you have the role of cybersecurity specialists or analysts, you have data analysts, you have software developers. These are the people that write the code. You have solution architects, you have scrum masters, you have product owners, you have user researchers, UI UX experts. These are roles that will be hired next year. And if you're not positioned to take advantage of these roles, then you need to think again. You need to factor this into your plan. Okay. We're going to talk about how can I plan? Right now, I know these areas in demand. I know what's coming for next year, but how can I plan? We're going to talk about that in 2 seconds. But I just wanted us to pause here for a second and think about a few things. The first one is, the goal of today, by the way, is not to go into any of these roles specifically, because if we do, we'll probably need another 2 hours to explain each of these roles, okay? However, one major question we get from a lot of people is there's this perception that it's impossible to break into these roles. And I want to completely annihilate that myth right now. We have done this for hundreds of individuals, and these people have built fantastic careers. Some of them are buying houses, buying their second houses, their third houses. We've done this for people, so it's 1000% possible. Another thing is, there is a misconception that some people have, which is, I need to be technically savvy. I need to maybe have studied computer science, or I need to have worked in tech already, or I need to know how to program. Or some people may be asking the question, I work in customer service. How can I transition to become a business analyst or a project manager? Someone else can be saying, oh, I worked in a bank as a teller or an operations manager. How can I transition? Or someone else might be saying, oh, I'm just an international student. I know I've done lots of, business analysis related activities back home, but I don't know how it works in Canada. How can I transition? The key here is, it's not about, there's an expectation. There's an expectation that you are ready to transition. But there isn't a recognition that to transition, you need to start from point A, perform specific steps to get to point B, and then the point B version of you will now transition. So you may not be ready to transition right now, but by the time you do 1, 2, 3, 4 things, you will be ready. And then once you're ready, then you can transition. So I want us to remember that you may not be there right now today, but this is why this session is critical. This is why this session is critical, because you can learn how you can plan your way into a six-figure tech job as a business analyst, or as a project manager, or as a cybersecurity analyst, or as a data analyst. Okay, so I want us to recognize the value of strategy. I want us to recognize the value of planning, because a lot of people come and they say, oh, I have been trying, but you can't be trying to cut down a tree with a knife that is not sharp. It doesn't make sense. You're just going to waste a lot of energy if you're trying to cut down a tree with a knife that is not sharp. The best thing to do is you take that knife or the axe or whatever it is you're trying to chop the tree with. You spend some time sharpening that knife or the axe or a saw, whatever it is, before you then start cutting the tree. The biggest mistake we make, and if there's anything you take away from this, I want you to take this away. You may not be where you need to be right now to make the transition, because it will be like jumping from step 1 to step 10. You might need to go through specific steps, step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, before you get to step 10. If you try to jump from 1 to 10, you will end up being frustrated. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing the economy can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about it. It's just a recipe for frustration. But if you focus on, what do I need to do to go from this point to this point? What are those steps in between? Then that is the mindset. And then by the time you tick these steps off, okay, by so time in the new year, I would have done step 1. By so time in the new year, I would have done step 2. By so time in the new year, I would have done step 3. And then you keep going because you have a plan. And once you get to the end of the plan, you will be shocked at the results you will get. So I'm trying to help save everybody on this call from that frustration of trying to just jump and dive in, expecting that, oh, because there's a boom in the tech industry, then someone can literally walk out of a customer service job today and walk into a tech job tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. Okay. The other thing to mention is a lot of times we completely ignore what we have. What we've developed over time that is so in demand, but we completely ignore that and we don't even make any effort to build on that. What do I mean by that? I'm sure we've heard of something called transferable skills. Trust me, technical skills can be learned, but there are some transferable skills that cannot be learned, right? So if you have worked in a corporate environment before, if you have worked in an organization before, it doesn't matter the role, customer service, whatever it is, administrator, whatever it is. If you have worked in a corporate environment before, then you would have developed and sharpened some transferable skills that are in demand. Okay, so these skills are in demand and you can take full advantage of those skills and position yourself to transition into a fantastic tech role. What are some of those skills I hear someone ask? So there are quite a few skills, but we're going to quickly go through that list. So you have your problem-solving skills, you have your teamwork, you have your analytical reasoning, communication. I'll just pause on communication for a second. A lot of people undervalue the importance of communication in the workplace. A lot of people on just being able to articulate your thoughts, being able to understand what other people are saying, being able to communicate through different channels, whether you're writing an email, whether you're creating a report, whether you're presenting during a meeting. These are critical skills that are so in demand in the workplace. Critical thinking, writing, listening. People forget that listening is a skill. Leadership, adaptability, attention to detail, computer skills, relationship building. These are skills that we have today. These are skills that we can take advantage of today. You don't need to, you don't need to wait. You don't need to, start thinking about a lot of other things. No, you have these skills today. Some of us work in customer service roles. Some of us have worked in banks. Some of us have taken up leadership positions in our home countries. And now we're in a position where we're struggling to transition into tech. So please pay attention to these skills. And again, it doesn't matter your background. The most important thing is, when you go to work in an organization, the most important thing is that you come into that organization and you can do what you promised, right? They're hiring you because you can help them solve a problem. You can help them do something. As long as you come and you're able to do it, people don't really care about a lot more, right? They don't care about, where you live. They don't care about any other thing. You come and you're able to do the job, you go home. That's it. Okay, so remember, you have some of these transferable skills. Remember, these skills are valuable because the number of times I've spoken to people that are extremely eloquent and articulate, and sometimes when they start sharing their challenges, I'm like, no, but you're an excellent communicator. You just need a few more adjustments here and there, and you'll be ready to go. You'll be so much in demand in the workplace. So I want this to sink in because we're going to talk about how to plan a fantastic career in 2025 in a second. But I want us to digest the in-demand areas and also digest the transferable skills. So let's do a bit of a soul searching right now to think about which of these transferable skills do I have? And I'm sure most people on this call will be able to we'll be able to get to like 70-80% of these transferable skills, right? Which is beautiful, which is where you're supposed to be. Now, if there are some adjustments that need to be made or some that need to be added onto what you have, remember, you're starting from here. There are steps in between. So those will be part of the steps in between. And that is where the plan comes in. Okay. So now we're going to talk about how do I plan for a fantastic tech career in 2025. But before I go further, I would like to just pause here a little bit, answer some of the questions because I've seen some questions come through. So answer some of the questions, provide some additional context so people understand what's going on. And then we continue. Okay. So I'm going to look through the webinar chat. And for those that have been asking your questions, thank you so much for those questions. Let's kind of get into it. So Della Rosa asked a question. So how can we ask how we can start a business with increasingly advanced technology, and of course, competition in creating extraordinary business ideas definitely requires large funds. How to start a business. So that is completely out of the scope of today's conversation in terms of starting a business. But I'm sure there are lots of tools out there that allows you to start a business, especially with technology and technological advancements. But that is outside of the scope of today's conversation. So we're talking about people that are looking to secure a job and build a fantastic career and design a fantastic career. Emmanuel Igwe says entry roles are not in demand. So Emmanuel, I'm going to answer your question, and I'm going to answer your question. It's going to be a super honest response because I'll explain to you what the challenge is with these entry roles that you're talking about. And I'll start with, what is the primary goal of an entry role? An entry level role is primarily for university graduates or people that are just fresh out of university. That is the target for these entry level roles. And most times, we find that, and I say this because I've hired for entry-level roles, I've hired for experience roles, I've hired for all sorts of roles. And most times, the challenge is that you have people with lots of experience applying for entry-level roles. That is a problem. That's a problem for me because an entry-level role is to get someone in who you can train and help them, position them to grow with the company. So for an entry-level role, 50% of the time will be spent training that individual because they're fresh out of university. You train them on how to do the job. Now, if you are applying for an entry-level role, the question I have, and I don't know what your profile is, I haven't seen your resume, I don't know whether you have experience or not, or even how you're positioning yourself for that entry-level role. The question is, if you're applying for an entry-level role, who are you competing against? Remember, you're competing against tens of thousands of university graduates, if not hundreds of thousands, because these days you have lots of applications from literally all over the world because of remote working. So everybody is hopeful that they would apply for a job and find a company that would sponsor them and get them their visa. So you're no longer competing with people within your location or your province or your state or your country. It's now a global competition. So if that is your strategy, then you're already at a disadvantage. Remember, this is why I said you need to understand the times and the seasons. You need to understand the macroeconomic factors. You need to understand what's going on in the industry, which is why I started with what is the state of the tech industry. So you're trying to plug um, a round peg in a square hole. It cannot fit. So you need to look at what you have and figure out where the best place is. You need to look at your, what's it called? Your square peg, for example, and find a square hole, not plug it in a round hole because it won't fit. That's the easiest way to answer your question. And I hope it makes sense and I hope you take something away from that because you need to focus on, it's more important to sharpen the knife before you cut the tree than to just put all the effort into trying to cut the tree with a blunt knife. So I'll jump to Sundar's question. UI UX. I'm very interested in this field, but worried because many people say that AI will greatly reduce this job function. There are AI apps that can literally create a design within a few prompts. So my question is, some of these roles might be reduced in the future. Can you please address this? There are two ways to view AI. You can view AI as the enemy and run away from doing what you should do in order to position yourself to take advantage of AI. So you can view AI as an enemy, as the enemy, and then not take any action, which sounds like what you're considering, because there's a perception that AI will take up these jobs. So is there any need to upskill myself in this area? 1000% there is. AI should be viewed as a friend, not the enemy. Imagine if AI is your friend and you are a UI UX designer. Just imagine this for a second. Something that would have taken you, or a task that would have taken you 2 weeks to complete, you're now able to do it with the help of AI, who is your friend, Sundar. You're now able to complete it in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. What does that mean? It means you can do more work. It means you can be more productive. It means you can create better designs. So we need to stop viewing AI as the enemy and start viewing AI as a friend, as a partner. Imagine if you partner with AI. I'll give you another example. There was something I did very recently, and under normal circumstances, it would have taken me at least 2 months to complete that task. 2 months. I did it in approximately 2 days with the help of AI. So I'm glad you attended this webinar today, Sundar, because I hope what you learned today would help you change how you look at AI. And this is not just about UI UX as an industry. It's about every single career path. We need to stop viewing AI as the enemy and start looking at AI as our friend, because AI is actually our friend. It helps us to do things quicker. It helps us to do things better. It helps us to significantly improve the quality of the things we do. And it can even help you be more adventurous so you can try new things. right? You can do more. If we continue to look at AI as the enemy, two things will happen. It will lead us to inaction because you'll start thinking, oh, why invest in becoming a better version of myself since AI is coming? But then the real question is, what's the alternative? So if you view AI as the enemy, it's going to take your job, then you might as well go, I don't know, go get a farmland somewhere and start going to agriculture, right? But the reality is that is not the case. That is not going to happen. Because remember, at some point there was an invention called a calculator, right? People were calculating using all sorts of things. Now you have just a calculator. Now you have these things on your phone. Innovation is here to stay. We need to embrace innovation. We need to partner with innovation. We need to position ourselves so that we're not the ones that are left behind by innovation. Anybody that has the mindset of AI will take away the jobs, so it means I do nothing, they will be left behind. But if you have the mindset of AI is coming, how can I partner with AI so I'm still relevant in the new world? Then you will always be on top. I hope that helps, Sundar. There's a question from Onyebuchi. So cybersecurity is my main area of concentration, and I'm looking to learn how to transform to get started, not mainly about the figures, but the passion. Beautiful. So we have a couple of other bits of information that would help you specifically, Onyebuchi. We're going to talk about the planning, and I think that's like the place where you should start. You need to plan out your 2025. We're pretty much 2 weeks away, and then take the actions there, take the actions within the plan. I would like to ask about if you think AI will take over software development. Again, the same thing I said to Sundar applies. AI can never take over everything. It won't take over anything. It will be there as a friend. It will be there as a partner. People will still need to control this AI. AI cannot just wake up and build something. No, you still need to tell AI what to build. So why don't you take advantage of AI? So the way I want you to think about AI is, let's say we were living in a world without cars, right? We were living in a world without cars. And then, people had to maybe carry other people and transport them from one place to the other. And then you now have the invention of cars. So they're literally cars that you can just go in, drive to where you're going and come back quicker, better. Why wouldn't anybody embrace the new technology and do things quicker? So what it means is you can get to more places in a day compared to when you had to walk. That is how I would like everybody to view AI. It's come to help us do more. It's come to help us become more productive. So regardless of your role, it's to help us do more. Okay. Again, same thing, Victoria. AI cannot really replace UI UX. Yeah. So this is the thing. AI cannot replace anything. It's an enabler. You need someone behind the scenes. You need to position yourself so you're continually relevant. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through some of the questions. If you want to try to without tech experience, it's going to be as hard. Okay, so Maria kind of double clicked on Emmanuel's question. So Maria said, I think Emmanuel meant if you want to transition to tech without tech experience is going to be as hard as most companies are looking for people with experience in tech. So entry level could have been a nice start, but the number of such positions is very low and very low compared to the number of graduates. Yes, but there are other ways through which you can get the tech experience. So that's the question. This is why I want us to have an open mind in terms of how we solve these problems. And this is where the plan comes in. So there are other ways through which you can get tech experience. I'm going to touch on that later on, but I feel like I'll go back to the slide. Let's carry on a little bit more so I can get through the core. Please keep the questions coming because I'll come back and then we'll go through all the questions, okay? I want to spend some time answering each of these questions. And I'm going to say this now, but even if it means going over a little bit just to answer these questions, I will answer all of these questions because it's important that we shift our mindsets. It's important that we change how we think. Sometimes we might be in an environment where there's a lot of uh, limitations in the thinking or a lot of flaws in the way we view things. But there's a different perspective, and I want to show every single person on the call that perspective. And the other thing I want you to pay attention to is, we don't have a million people on this call. We have a few people on this call. Um, almost 50 people on this call. And the reason why I'm saying that number out is because these are the people that want to get ahead. Not everybody will get ahead. I promise you, some people will be left behind with AI. A lot of people will be left behind, but not those that are proactive, not those that position themselves to embrace and take advantage of AI or whatever other technology is coming, because it's coming, whether we like it or not. So this is where we need to prepare ourselves. Like, just think about the computer. We're having this call remotely. Who would have thought this would be possible 30 years ago? Nobody. But now it's happening. We're all in this meeting. We're all having a great conversation. We're all fully interacting with each other. I can see you. Well, you can see me. I can't see you, but there's also a different platform where I can see you and you can see me. So it's technology. It's an enabler. Let's not forget this. Technology is an enabler. Okay. All right. So how do I plan for a fantastic tech career in 2025? There are two steps. There are two ways. I've broken this up into two major components of the planning or of the domination of 2025. There are two things that you need to do. The first one is you need to discover, and then you need to execute. It's that simple. The first one is discovery. And then number two is execution. Discovery is all about clarity. Where am I going? What's happening? Where am I going? Where do I want to be at the end of 2023? Because once you discover, then you can position yourself to take advantage and get to your end goal. Okay, so discovery is that process of you, it includes a couple of steps which we're going to go into in a second, but it's where you just spend some time to understand what do I want? And then you build from there. Okay. And then execution is, without discovery, execution is pointless. Without execution, discovery is pointless. Right? Because if you execute without knowing, then you're just flying blind, like they say. And then if you discover without taking action, then there's no need, right? So these two go hand in hand. And we're going to dive into each of them specifically so you have a better understanding and a better appreciation of what this means as a whole. So let's look at discovery. There are steps in discovery that I want us to bear in mind as we go on this journey. So the first one is, or step number one is, you always, always, always need to start with the end in mind. I like the fact that Onyebuchi has identified that he wants to become a cybersecurity specialist. Beautiful, because that's the end goal. Sundar has identified he wants to go into UI UX. Beautiful, that's the end goal. Believe it or not, a lot of people have not identified which area they want to go into. And that is a problem, because when you don't have a destination, every point you get to feels like a destination. So that's why you have people have a conversation with someone today and they say, oh, cybersecurity is where it's happening. And then they run to cybersecurity. The next week, oh, not cybersecurity, it's now project management. They run to project management. And then the next week, oh, somebody said it's software development. They run to software development. No. You can achieve success through any of the areas. It doesn't matter which one. You can achieve success through any of them. If you have identified your end goal, stick to it. Give it some time. Give it at least 6 months. Pursue your goal for at least 6 months, because this is a worthy goal. When you secure a job, $100,000, some people make more. Some people secure 2 jobs. But when you secure this job, your life is completely transformed. because you're now part of the elite. You're now part of the big boys. You're now part of the people that do not have to worry about money because you're focused on delivering a project that has huge significance. So they will reward you extremely well. Okay, so start with the end in mind. What do you want? What's the goal? How bad do you want it? Because a lot of people just set a goal and it ends up just being a wish. No, it's how bad do you want it? What's the motivation? What's pushing you for that goal? What is it? And then what are you willing to sacrifice? This is where a lot of people miss it. And this is something that you probably will not hear with a lot of other, planning sessions or anything like that. What are you willing to sacrifice? Nothing good comes easy. There is something called growth pains. Growth pains. This is where the sacrifice comes in. If you watch any video about the best people, athletes in the world, the word that would always come through, or one word you would hear, is sacrifice. Some of them would say things like they had to give up partying. Some of them would say things like they had to give up going for events. Why? Because they wanted to become a better version of themselves. For us, you don't have to give up too much. You might just need to give up a couple of hours on Netflix. You might just need to give up a couple of hours talking on the phone. Some people have like something I call GLA, which is Gist Lovers Association. So you have like some people on the call, you spend hours with them on the call. Like, I'm not saying don't do that, but instead of 3 hours, how about you do it for 30 minutes? Why? Because you have a goal. Once you achieve that goal, once you have 100,000 hitting your account every year, you can spend the whole weekend on the call if you want, right? But let's get that goal and then we relax. But from what I know, by the time you achieve that goal, you're setting another goal for yourself. So what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice? It could be waking up a little bit earlier. It could be sleeping a little bit later. I had to make a sacrifice when I got my first ever tech job. This was a long time ago, easily over a decade ago. I had to make a very important sacrifice because my background, maybe I'll tell this story here. My background was in engineering, and I traveled to the UK to do my master's in engineering. So I did systems and control engineering. That's kind of like my first entry into IT. And then after my systems and control engineering, I wanted to get a job as an engineer, like so bad, because that has been my goal. I wanted to get a job as an engineer. So I started looking for jobs as an engineer. Went for a couple of interviews, but I wasn't successful. So I now asked myself a question. What can I do? And this is where the whole concept of planning started from. What can I do to make myself more desirable in the marketplace? And then the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, go get some certification. And then I did go get the certification. So this is my journey. Now I know better. If I had known, I would have gone to get training from an organization, find an organization that guides its students through this journey, and then go join them, because that way I get connected to like-minded people. That way I have mentors that can help me. That way I have guidance. But this is me just trying to figure out things out myself. And it took me a long time, by the way. So I did go get the certification. And then after I got the certification, it was back on the grind. And believe it or not, the certification did not give me the result I was seeking. But what the certification did for me personally at that point is it helped me realize that there was another opportunity, which I wasn't paying attention to at that time. And this is how I got into tech. So I met someone where I went to do the certification, and the person told me that, do you know, with this certification, if you upgrade yourself, if you upskill in addition to this certification, you can make so amount of money. I was like, really? He was like, yeah. And told me stories of people he knew that has succeeded that way. And then I had that at the back of my mind, but I was still bent on my goal, which is the project engineer role. So I started looking for project engineer, got a couple of interviews. It didn't help. So basically, the certification did not help me, but I met someone through that certification program that redirected me. And then I joined a boot camp, an organization, and they trained me, helped me position myself, and then I got my first role. Now, to show you the sacrifice I made, um, once I got that role, where I lived at that point was maybe a 30 minutes drive to the office. But I decided I'm going to relocate to a walking distance of the office. So I relocated, moved. Then it was easy to relocate. And then that was the sacrifice I had to make. Why? Because I wanted to be close to the job, right? And I wanted to be, oh, I didn't even tell the story of how I saved up the money for the certification, but I had to make lots of sacrifices to raise the money for the certification in the first place. And then had to make this sacrifice, moved closer. And then I was going to the office a bit earlier and I was staying a bit later. So I wanted my mindset then was, yes, this is my first stint at this role, but I want them to see I can put in my effort. I can put in 110% effort. Forget about results for now. If I'm working with someone and I can see them putting the effort, I'll go out of my way to help them. And this is what happened to me. I put in 120% effort. I was in the office very early. I stayed till later. Like whatever needed to be done, if it was going to take 1 hour and I needed to take 3 hours to do it because I was still learning, I will do it. Weekends, I was working. Weekdays, I was working. Evenings, I was thinking about work. And I got so good that when I wanted to leave that role, the response my manager said, or what he said when I told him I was leaving, was he was like, "What? No, you cannot leave." That was what he said. And that skyrocketed my confidence. Where am I going with all of this? You need to decide, what sacrifice am I going to make? What am I going to give up? Right? It doesn't have to be a big deal. Like it could be just cut down hours. So if you normally watch TV 3 hours a day, cut it down to an hour. If you find yourself scrolling on social media for 4 hours a day, cut it down to 30 minutes, right? You can do it. You just need to plan to do it. Remember, yes, you have a couple of days when you lapse and all that, but you can actually do it. I'll I'll just maybe I'll just share one sacrifice I made recently. Right now, I do not have Instagram on my phone. I do not have Facebook on my phone. I don't have any social media platform on my phone. The only thing I have on my phone is WhatsApp. It was a very intentional decision. I have it on my laptop, so I access all these platforms on my laptop. But once I leave my laptop, I don't want to get caught up in the temptation of having to scroll on my phone. So that is a personal sacrifice that I made. And it's been a game changer for me personally, because those hours I can channel into something else. Okay. For the others, I wish I had more time, but we'll keep going. And I might be a little bit quicker. And for the questions, I'm happy to stay a bit longer just so we can take every single question and dissect each and every one of them. So start with the end in mind. And please remember to make your goals SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Let them be specific. Don't set vague goals. I want to make money by the end of 2025. That is a vague goal. It doesn't mean anything. There's no power, there's no emotion behind it. And then secondly, break your goals down. So you need to break it down into quarterly goals. So Q1 or quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four. So what are those goals for each of those quarters? And then break it down to monthly goals even. So for quarter one, what's my goal for months 1, 2, and 3, right? Because if you break it down, it's easier. There's a lot more momentum, because at the end of month one, once you achieve your goal, there's a bit of a celebration. You can celebrate. But right now, we're still in that discovery phase where you're trying to define and discover your plans. So set those goals, break it down. And then the next thing you need to do is to conduct a self-assessment. If you don't know where you are, it will be hard to connect the dots from where you are to where you're going. Remember, I said this earlier, you're at this point, you want to get to this point, but there's a gap in between. You need to conduct an honest self-assessment. Where am I? Do I have these transferable skills? Do I have some of the technical skills? Do I think I can become a business analyst? Do I think I can become a PM? Where am I and where am I going? Right? So once you conduct that self-assessment, it would help you understand where you are, where you're going. And then the next step is conduct a gap analysis, which is between where I am and where I'm going. What does that gap look like? What does that gap look like? What are those steps in between? How can I get to where I am to where I'm going? And this is what I was trying to explain to someone asked a question earlier, and I was trying to explain to the person. If you're trying to go from, if you don't conduct an honest self-assessment, somewhere in your mind, you might assume, because I worked in a bank in, Uganda, that means I can come to Canada and work in a bank. After all, a bank is a bank. No, it's not. These banks operate differently. The rules are different. The policies are different. The mentality is different. The tools are different. So just assume that, yes, you have some banking experience, but you need to learn how to adapt the raw materials you have to this new environment. And that is where it breaks down, because a lot of people make that assumption that, oh, because I worked in a bank in, maybe South Africa or in, whatever country, or in India, I can just transition and get a job straight in the bank. Yes, it may work for some people, but a lot of people face a huge challenge because they keep trying and keep trying. And then they get frustrated and they give up and they say, it's hard to succeed in the US. It's hard to succeed in Canada. It's hard to succeed in the UK. But when you're trying to cut down a tree with a blunt knife or a blunt axe rather, you will spend so much more effort. It's more frustrating. Please remember that. When you're trying to do something the wrong way, it's more frustrating. And that is the reason why people make all sorts of conclusions. Okay, so once you identify the gap, then the next step is to plug that gap. But by the end of the execution phase, also, sorry, by the end of the discovery phase, you should have a clear roadmap of my goal, which is where I'm going, a breakdown of the goal, and then your self-assessment, which is where I am right now, and then the gap analysis, which is where you are relative to your goal, and what steps you need to take in between. So this formulates or helps you formulate your plan for your career. Okay. So for example, the goal could be, I want to be gainfully employed as a cybersecurity analyst by the end of next year. Beautiful. Then you break it down. What does that mean for quarter one? So quarter one is I need to get the skills that I need, the training I need, the hands-on experience I need. I need to get that in Q1 2025. Beautiful. So how about Q2 2025? What will I be doing? So Q2, I can try to get a certification, but at the same time, I can start applying for jobs to see how it goes because I have acquired the skills. So I have plugged that gap. And it's better to plug you with an organization that can guide you and coach you and mentor you as you make the transition. So the goal should be within 6 months, by the end of Q2 2025, you should have a job as a cybersecurity specialist because from day one, you've started preparing and planning. So 6 months is more than enough time to acquire the skills you need, to acquire the experience you need, to acquire the confidence you need, because a lot of people forget confidence to get that job. And by the way, Onyebuchi, we've almost crafted your 2025 plan at a high level. And then we go into Q3. What do I want to do in Q3? So if I've achieved my job at the end of Q2 2025, then Q3 will be the period where I stabilize myself in the role. So again, you're not trying to do too much. You're just focused on stabilizing yourself in the role, learning about the organization. And by the end of Q4, you should be fully stable. So that is a solid plan that we can all take away from today's conversation. But then we need to work back to, okay, there's a how part. So how can I acquire the skills? How do I apply for jobs? And we're going to come on to that in a second. Okay, so that's the discovery phase. So at the end of the discovery phase, you need to figure out step by step, how am I going to develop these skills? How am I going to gain this hands-on experience? Which organization do I go with? Which program do I sign up for, etc. Now let's look at the execution part quickly. So for execution, this is where we now have to focus on doing, right? So discovery, we know what we need to do. Now we need to do it. We need to do it. If you don't do it, it's like 1,000,000 times 0 is still equal to 0. So if you don't do it, the result is still 0. So you need to go ahead and get the knowledge, build the skills, learn the tools you need to learn the platforms you need to learn, get whatever certifications you need to get, all in line with your plan. After you build the skills, this is critical. You need to get practical experience. And this is the answer to Emmanuel's question. It's how can I get the experience that I need? Not I want the entry-level position. No, it should be, okay, if the entry-level position is not really working as it should, then how can I position myself to get the experience I need so I can move out of the crowd and move into the place where there are fewer people, where I have a significantly improved chance of securing the job. So the question should be, how can I? Okay, how can I? So this is where you apply your skills to real world scenarios and you get the opportunity to build a portfolio as well. Because sometimes you go for interviews and they ask you, oh, can you show us something you've done? This is where you do that. When you gain the practical experience, you have things that you can show, okay? And then we get into the personal branding phase. So one thing is critical, especially this time. This is 2024. The world has completely changed. You need to build your personal brand. People need to know you. People need to know what you're about. People need to know what you represent. So you can do this via the easiest way is LinkedIn. So you can have a fantastic LinkedIn profile, a fully optimized LinkedIn profile, and you can engage in conversation, right? There's something that I'll teach everybody a trick. There's something that I noticed people do a lot, and I didn't really understand what they were doing until recently, where people go for an event and then they put a post on social media and they tag different people in the post, right? And with that, you get a lot more engagement because those people are notified that they've been tagged. And then in some cases, their friends are notified. So it kind of helps you with a wider reach. So imagine you go for an event as an aspiring tech professional. Let's take Onyebuchi's case, or, as a cybersecurity analyst, you go for a cybersecurity meetup and then you meet a couple of people. Let's say you meet 5 people, right? And then you come back and then you craft a very insightful post about the event. And then you tag those 5 people that you met. Whether you like it or, and then maybe put a few pictures up, whether you like it or not, you start to build your brand as a cybersecurity expert. When recruiters are looking for people to reach out to, they will see you, see the fact that you're active in the industry, see the people you tagged, and maybe they might know 1 or 2 of them, right? And these are people you randomly met. Automatically, your profile is elevated, whether you like it or not. These are the hacks that you cannot easily read online. except somebody breaks this down for you and tells you and explains to you this is how it works. Okay. So if you can't share content, you need to build your personal brand. You need to network. You need to connect with like-minded people. People need to know you. There is no way around it. It's one of the easiest ways. With networking alone, believe this, you may not even require interview in most cases because you connect with the people that are hiring. Anyway, I went for there's so many stories that I want to tell. I went for an event a couple of months ago and I connected with a lot of people because I was representing the Career Accelerators, and I was going there to build a bridge between our students and these organizations. And I was blown away at the number of organizations that were keen to interview our students. They were keen to interview our students. I was blown away. It was just that, yes, here's my email, let's talk. Here is my email, let's talk. Let's open these doors up. And there's also this whole, there's a lot. Anyway, so let me try and get through these slides. These are really, really important ideas that I'm sharing. These are important. Like I said, we're going to share, the goal is to share actionable insights that you can take away and start practicing today, not tomorrow, today. These are very practical, very actionable insights. And then last but not the least, you need to optimize your resume. You need to put the applications out. You need to go for these interviews. You need to sharpen your skills in these areas. There's no way around it. Because if you're looking for a job, then you need to put yourself out there. You need to put an optimized resume out there. You need to put the applications out. You need to know how to apply. You need to know where to apply. You need to know where people are. You need to know where people are. How do I position this? You need to know where people are looking for jobs. You need to know how to position yourself. You need to know how to position yourself for recruiters to find you, right? There's a strategy to position yourself for recruiters to find you. Okay. So ultimately, you should be ready to take action. You should be ready to take action. You should be ready to, because like I said, a million times zero is still zero. No matter what you do, you still need to put in the work. You still need to put yourself out there. A lot of people spend a lot of time, and this is a trend. People have prioritized knowledge acquisition to the extent that they assume just acquiring the knowledge is enough. And they've downplayed taking action. But one cannot work without the other. You need both for them to work seamlessly. Okay. Now we were supposed to have a practical exercise, but what I'll do is we have a template for planning, career planning, which I'll share with the team because we're out of time and I want to get to the questions. I can see some really interesting questions in the chat. I want to answer the question and I'm going to personally commit to answering every single question. So if you've asked a question and you want an answer, we will stay. I will be here even after the session to answer your question. Okay, so just rest assured your question will get answered. So we have a practical exercise. I'm going to share the template with everybody, but this is everything I've been talking about, right? So just take it and gradually work backwards, define your overarching goal, break it down into smaller chunks, and I was going to say, not everybody may be interested in the template. So if you are interested in the template, just drop us a mail, or you can put it in the chat that you're interested, and then we can make sure it gets sent to you. Just so we save, we don't just spam people's mailboxes. So yeah, just put it in the chat, and then we'll send the template to you. But it's a really powerful template. It's simple, 3 pages. It's like you don't go into a lot of detail. It's just short and sweet, straight to the point. Okay, now that brings us to the next part where I will answer a lot of questions. But also I will once I finish the next section, I will pause and then we'll go through the questions, like the questions in the chat, because there are lots of good questions. I saw a question from Prakash. I would love to answer this one personally, Prakash. So if you stay on, I'm going to answer the question and a few other jobs as well. So I will answer these questions. So let's stay on, please. So how can we help? So where does TCA come in all of this? Because I think it was Emmanuel that had the question around, so how do we get the practical experience? Or, how do I get trained? Or where can I get my resume optimized? You talk about some of these steps, acquiring knowledge, gaining the skills. How do I get this knowledge? How do I get the skills? Where do I start from? How do I get the support that I need throughout this process? And just going by the analogy I used earlier, how do I sharpen the sword or sharpen the axe or sharpen the saw to cut down this tree and secure a fantastic six-figure tech job? That is the question. And this is where we come in. So the Career Accelerators is an organization that focuses on helping non-tech professionals or aspiring tech professionals to secure fantastic roles, whether it's as business analysts, software developers, UI, UX, user researchers, scrum masters, product owners, etc. So this is our job. This is our bread and butter. Over the past years, we've helped hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, make that transition into these fantastic tech roles. And these guys are doing well, super well. We've had instances where, husbands take the course and then, secure a job, and then the wife take the course and secure a job, or the other way around, where husbands or wives take first and then husband. Like I've had a specific instance where the wife took the course. The husband said to me, I hope my wife will get a job. And I said to him, don't worry, your wife's job is almost guaranteed. I'm waiting for you to come and sign up and to get a job. And then you see what I mean. This was while the wife was still training. Believe it or not, right now, both of them are doing excellently well. And both of them trained through us. And both of them are super advocates of us. So it's not about it's really not about does it work or not. It's about, are you ready to take advantage or not? Are you ready to make the most of it or not? For example, someone may be asking, oh, practical experience. The question really is, are you ready to gain the practical experience or not? Because if you're looking for practical experience, are you ready for it? Right? That's the real question. And then when you get the opportunity to contribute to an IT project, are you ready to put in your best? Right? Because when you put in your best, these people will see you, these employers will see you. And if they like you, they can carry on with you. If they don't, then they can drop you. That's how it works. Okay, but at the end of the day, you still gain your experience. That's what it's about. Okay, so I'll give you a list of courses that we train on. So we have 8 courses, and we are rolling out a couple more next year. So we have our business analysis program, we have our project management program, we have our agile scrum program, which will help you become a scrum master. We have our user research, UI, UX. We have our data analysis. We have our software development. We have cybersecurity, and we have our IIBA CBAP certification. Now, one thing to remind everybody of is the only role on this board or on this screen that requires core programming skills is the software development role. All the others might require a bit of light touch here and there, but you don't need to be technical in any way, shape, or form. Okay, because that's a big question lots of people have. Oh, do I need to become super technical? Do I need to learn JavaScript? Do I need to learn Python? No, you do not. If you have that knowledge, it's an extra advantage, but you do not. Most organizations still require people that can do the work, people that can communicate, people that can write documents, people that can interact and interview people, people that have emotions, that can listen. Most organizations still require those people. So sometimes you might see one application where they're looking for one person to do the role of a software developer, data analyst, product manager, project manager. That's not the role you're looking for. Yes, you have employers that are overzealous and overambitious, but that's not you. There are lots of other opportunities where they just need a BA that can come in and do the work, or a PM that can come in and do the work, or a Scrum Master that can come in and do the work. Okay. Now, in addition to these courses that we offer, we have a fantastic support system in place because we are committed to ensuring that every single student succeeds. So our support system is designed in such a way that it would help you from the point where you start with us. Because remember, this is the time frame. You're here, you want to get here. So our support system is designed to get you every single step of the way. So there's no point in the journey where you'll be stuck because we have optimized and carefully designed this program over the past 6 years. And it's a program that I can tell you and beat my chest that it actually works. Okay. So let's think about it this way. I'm going to break down the support you get as part of our program. And then we're going to look at the investments, look at the costs, and then I'll come back and answer all the questions in the chat. So for our support, you get trained. So let's say I'll take an area of cybersecurity, for example. Let's say you sign up for the cybersecurity program, you get comprehensively trained in what it means to become a compliance analyst or cybersecurity specialist. And then you get hands-on experience. These are life projects that will come with verifiable experience. So you will get the opportunity to work on a project from start to finish. So for those that have said, oh, we have a problem with live project experience, people are looking for experience, you can get experience through our programs. It's carefully designed in such a way that you start from the beginning and go through. You get the full SDLC, so software development lifecycle experience on that live project. And at the end of the day, you will have experience that you can share during interviews. You will encounter all sort of situations during that live project, and you'll get your hands dirty. So when you go for an interview and they're talking about Jira, you know exactly what Jira is. When they're talking about how to gather requirements or BRD, you know what that looks like. When they're talking about project charter, talking about business case, you know exactly what it feels like. When they're talking about high-level design documents, detailed design documents, mock-ups, you know exactly what they're talking about. You know at what point those documents are required. You know what they're used for, you know the headings, you know how to create it. So that is what our hands-on experience is all about. And it completely solves the problem. You don't have to go compete with jobs with fresh graduates that have zero experience. You can go compete with people that are experienced because you have experience and you have the transferable skills, and these experiences are verifiable. And then you get mentored. So you have someone that you can have a chat with at every point in time. So it's not a case of you start training and you get forgotten. No, like you have a clear path to have a conversation. So for example, if you're feeling a certain way, maybe you're applying for jobs and you're getting overwhelmed with interviews, you don't know how to prepare. You have a chat with your mentor. They will help you break things down. We've had instances where people have interviews, they need to prepare. They speak to their mentors. We've had instances where people, maybe sometimes they might not be getting interviews. They speak to their mentors and they get new strategies, new ideas on how to position themselves in order to get more attention. Your resume will be optimized. You will teach you and train you on how to attend an interview, what the expectations are when it comes to interviewing, and how you can prepare accordingly. We'll go through a HR assessment with you. So this is something we introduced, which has been a game changer. So imagine you're ready for the market, and maybe let's say, Emmanuel, you are trying to apply for these jobs without any success. When you join our program, what will happen is we'll link you up to our HR expert who is going to review your profile and guide you on how you can position yourself. So let's say for some reason you're not getting attention, they can guide you. It could be maybe red flags in your resume. It could be maybe something with your LinkedIn profile. It could even be how you present certain things in your resume. So they'll help you fix that. When you're ready for interviewing, they would conduct a mock interview to make sure you're ready. Why? Because we strongly believe every single opportunity you have that is an interview, it's not just an interview to us. At TCA, every interview is a job. So the way we see it is once you're invited for an interview, it's like there's a job on the table. And all you have to do is to go take it. So we'll put all our resources together to make sure you're ready for that interview. That's how we look at every single interview. And then if you want to get a certification, we can help you get whatever certification you require. And then last but not the least, when you get the job, we're here to support you. Okay. You're given a task at work. You come to us. We have a chat about the task. We guide you because we want you to put your best foot forward from day one. We don't want a situation where you struggle and then, you don't know what to do. People are looking at you somehow at work. No, we want you to put your best foot forward. So we have on-the-job support for you to help you as you transition. Okay. And this, I can tell you easily, is one of the most robust support systems you will ever find. So for an investment of, a couple of dollars and 3 months investment as well in learning the skill, in gaining the life experience, you can get a return of up to $100,000 in your respective career, work from home, endless career opportunities, stability and long-term planning. So you can get a mortgage, if you want to buy a car, you can buy a car, a really nice car that you like. You get to spend more time with your family. You get to spend more time with your family. Now, this is super critical. Being able to spend time with family, it's really important. So I'm going to talk about what the price is in a second. So we have everything I've explained in terms of the support, everything has an overall value of over $5,000. This is not the cost, by the way. This is just the value of what you get. This is if we were to quantify the value of what you're going to get, it's over $5,000 if we break it down individually as individual services. So the value is overall $1,000. But our sticker price, because it's all bundled up into a package, so the package price is $1,499. So $1,499, that is the package price. However, for the next 2 hours only, we're offering an end of the year, because again, this is Christmas period, an end of the year flash sale. And this is so you won't get to pay 5,000, of course. You also not pay 1499. But for the next 2 hours only, this is just a quick for those that are super interested, for those that want to take charge, take control of their 2025. You pay $989 only for the next 2 hours. And all you have to do is use the discount code. So this is 34% off all of our courses. So just go on our website, use the discount code 14DEC24. So 14 December 2024. So 14 December 24 rather. And you get the 989 price for the next. So this is valid the next 2 hours. Okay. And for those wondering, how do I register? So you just need to simply go to our website, which is www.thecareeraccelerators.ca, click on our courses, select the course, click on enroll, and enter the discount code and check out. It's literally as simple as that. So for the next 2 hours, you get to pay 989. So this is a discount that we've not done, a discount like no other. So if you do want to take full advantage, you can. So just select the course you want to register for, click on enroll now, and then enter the discount code. Now, I'm going to say something and then we'll kind of go into the questions because I want to personally answer all the questions in the chat. It might take a bit longer, not a problem. I'm happy to stay because I want to make sure everybody leaves with the answer to their questions. And for those that just want to hear the answers that will be provided, again, you're welcome to stay as well. And if you have more questions, like let's have a chat. Again, let's have a chat. So Warren Buffett, who owns one of the companies in the top 10 in terms of market capitalization, said something. The best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The more you learn, the more you will earn, whether you like it or not. It's a fact. So today, I'm encouraging everybody to invest in their future. I know we can help you. I know what we have in store. I know the experience we have. I know the depth we have and the breadth of knowledge we have. and the contacts we have and the support system we have. So if you want to take advantage of this and make 2025 the year where your life takes a complete U-turn and heads in the right direction towards the career of your dreams, then take full advantage of this code. So the discount code is 14DEC24. If you need to take a picture of this page, please do. And this will give you 34% off all our courses. Now, for those that would like to get in touch, this is all the information. So you can reach us by phone, 647-490-1190. You can also send us an email, info@thecareeraccelerators.ca. And you can visit our website, which is www.thecareeraccelerators.ca. We're based in Canada, but we serve people from all over the world: Australia, UK, New Zealand. We've actually had people from Philippines take our course. So Nigeria, everywhere, anywhere, because it's all remote, right? And then we're present on all the platforms. So YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So please follow us if you're not following us already. We have lots of insightful videos that you can benefit from. And I would like to thank, because I know some people may want to drop off, but I would like to thank every single person for attending. I will still answer the questions, so don't go anywhere, because I just want us to get through the core presentation, and then we'll get into the questions, because I want everybody to leave with the answer they need. I want everybody to leave with that mindset shift, because if we keep doing things the same way and expecting a different result, then I think someone said that's the definition of insanity or something like that. So let's understand what's happening so we can do the right things and get the right results. Okay. So just one last time, to take full advantage, the value you get. So I want to emphasize this: the value you get from the program is over $5,000. But our sticker price for the program is $14.99. But for the next 2 hours only, you stand a chance to pay only $989 to take advantage of every single thing that I have mentioned. So whether it's the resume optimization, the core training, the live project experience, which a lot of people need to get ahead, the mentorship supports, the HR experts, every single thing you get for just $989. And this is all Canadian dollars, by the way. Okay. Now let's get into the questions. Let's get into the questions, because I want to answer these questions. So let's get into the questions. So I did have a couple of questions myself, but I'll put those to one side. Let me answer the questions within the chat. So I stopped at, there was a question from, okay, so I answered the one from Maria, right? So so to Emmanuel's question, the answer is you need to find a way to get the experience. It's not about, oh, they want experience. No, the question is, how can I get this experience? So you need to find a way. It's one of the services that we provide. So we provide individuals with an opportunity to gain firsthand experience working on a live project. Some of the projects we worked on are live right now, and you can go on the platform, check it out for yourself, and you see what our students have built. So please take advantage of that. For example, if you go to jobredy.io, so www.jobredy, and it's spelled JOBREDY.io, you'll see our mentorship platform, which was built by TCA students. So this is firsthand practical knowledge and experience, which you can actually go into an interview and tell them. So show them what you've built, right? We have lots of other platforms like that as well. So I'll go to Zandile's question, and in some cases, as part of the presentation, I may have covered these questions. So if I have covered it, I'll just kind of move on to the next one. So the transferable skills you mentioned, if one has 90% of these skills but is struggling to break into tech, is this a value communication problem, or is one maybe totally off the mark? Honestly, Zandile, I think it might be a bit of both, because yes, you may have the skills, but the real question is, Have you performed that assessment, that self-assessment? And when you say breaking into tech, it's a very broad statement. So which aspect of tech are you breaking into, or are you planning to break into, or are you working towards breaking into? So are we talking about a project manager role? Are we talking about a business analyst role? Are we talking about a scrum master role? Are we talking about a cybersecurity analyst role? So which role are you looking to break into? Because with the transferable skills, you might need to sprinkle on it a bit of uh, not technical skills, but a bit of domain expertise based on the area you're looking to break into. For example, if you want to break into the project manager space, right? You have maybe even 100% of the transferable skills, but you still lack the basic foundational understanding of what project management is all about. It'll be difficult. So this is where our organization comes in, because we're going to help you plug these gaps to get you to the Zandile version 2.0, where you have the transferable skills and then you have the PM skills, for example. Now, when you start knocking on doors, they would answer because you have what they're looking for. So right now, I don't know what you have, so I won't be able to say specifically if it's a value communication problem or if maybe there's the core knowledge of the area you want to break into that is missing. Okay, hopefully that helps, Zandile. So let me go to the other questions. So there's one from Fant. So how hard is it to do remote work? I'm hoping to make some money. I don't have huge skills. So again, it's really not hard to do remote work. It's all about having the skills. I'll be honest with everybody on this call. To make money, nobody will give you money for nothing. People will give you money for value. If you have value and I feel like you're going to give me value, I will give you money. You get into, let's say you enter a taxi and you part with, let's say you enter an Uber, right, from point A to point B. You part with X amount of money. You're parting with that amount of money because what the Uber driver or the service the Uber driver is offering to you is way more important or way more valuable than the money you're going to give them to you. Whereas to the Uber driver, the money you're going to give them is way more valuable than the time they're going to spend driving you around. So it's all about value. People will pay you for value. The earlier everybody realizes that, the better. There is no shortcut to earning money. You have to learn the skills. You're here, you want to be here. The question is, what are the steps? What are the steps? Once you identify the steps, you identify the skills that would earn you money and make you valuable. That's all you need to do. Then you go ahead and execute. What does execution mean? You go get the skills. That's all you need to do. Once you get the skills, then you can start knocking on those doors, and then they will be in a position to pay you for the services you're going to offer them. It's as simple as that. The biggest problem is nobody wants to do the work. Nobody wants to invest the time to learn the skills. Nobody wants to sit down, learn what they need to learn, get their hands dirty, become a better version of themselves. Nobody wants to do that. That's the biggest challenge. So you have people that will just dust up their resume and then want to get paid. Why is the person paying you stupid? They're paying you because you bring value to them. You need to be in a position to give them value. So please, let's recognize that. Once you recognize that, that is the end. Your life will no longer be the same. The question you'll be asking every single time is, how can I become more valuable? Not how can I make more money? How can I become valuable? I hope that helps, Tant. So I have a question from here from TJ Johnson. So it sounds like those who know how to use AI in the workplace will replace those who don't. It's the same as every new invention. It's the same as every new technology. Right now, and I'm going to throw that question back at you, TJ. Right now, just think about this for a second. you have people that can use computers and people that cannot. If you were hiring someone, and maybe I'll throw that question to everybody, and please respond in the chat. If you were hiring somebody today, who would you hire? Would you hire the person who knows how to use a computer or the person that does not know how to use a computer? Let's just be honest with ourselves for a second. Put it in the chat. Will you hire the person with a computer with computer literacy, who is computer literate, or the person that is not? Oh, and by the way, this is just a Q&A session where we're just having a chat, conversing as professionals, as, just having a chat, a heart-to-heart conversation. Like Jesuale said, 100% computer literacy. Like, this is a no-brainer. Sometimes we need to put ourselves in the shoes of the hiring manager. You want somebody that will give you value. So it's your responsibility to position yourself as a person of value. That's all. So yes, the people that will embrace AI as a partner will take over and dominate the people that choose to see AI as the enemy and do nothing about it. Unfortunately, that's the truth. That's the world we're in. Sundar, I like what you said, but from a business standpoint, if a worker can become more efficient due to AI, won't this reduce jobs and with the job market being so competitive, it might be difficult to get the job? Your thoughts will help on this. So good point, but your role, Sundar, you have one job and one job only, Sundar. Your job, you don't care about the business. Your job is to be the best version of yourself. So be a UI UX expert. Your role is not to worry about the hundreds of thousands of other UI experts out there or what the business is thinking. No, your role is to become a person of value. That's your role. It doesn't matter whether the next person is trying to become the person of value. No, it's you. This is your job. So from a business perspective, there are lots of other things that the business can do. The problem is this, Sundar. You're thinking about it from a very narrow mindset. And I would explain what I mean. And this is not a disrespect to you. It's just because I'm going to help you see the bigger picture from a business standpoint. And let's walk through this scenario together. So imagine you own a business, Sundar. Let's say your business is you own an IT company, and what you guys do is you design UI UX. You create mock-ups for companies, right? You're the business owner, you own this company. And over time, you've grown to the point where you've hired 5 UI UX designers, right? And you have 6 employees, 5 UX designers, and you as the lead. And then with AI, you realize that, oh, what's it called? With AI, you realize, okay, people can do this quicker, right? There are 2 options. You can decide, okay, now I have 5 people. I need to fire 4 of them, right? So I can just use one person to do the work that we get as an organization. Or as a business person, you can decide, okay, we were able to do 20 jobs in a month with 5 people. And now one person can do 20 jobs in a month. Why can't I go get more jobs? So as a business with my employees, we can do 100. So I don't need to fire the 4 people, but I can do more as a business. So it's going to increase my productivity as a business. It's going to increase my income as a business. How about that angle? So sometimes let's try and expand our horizons a little bit. Let's try and think about the other possibilities, right? So But you as an individual, you're one of the 5 people. Let's assume in that situation, 3 out of the 5 people choose not to embrace AI. So they decide not to go for any AI trainings or get better within the AI space. And only 2 choose to embrace AI. At the point where those 2 people will start doing 20 jobs each, and those other 3 are doing maybe 2 or 3 jobs, the business will have no other option than to lay off those 3 and hire 3 new ones that can do 20 jobs each. This is how businesses think. It's about value, it's about making more, it's about revenue, it's about succeeding. We can succeed with AI. AI is not the enemy. I hope that helps. And I hope it helps every other person because, again, this is just me pouring out my heart to everybody and just trying to break this down so we understand it for ourselves and as individuals. Mariam, you have a question. I want to go to cloud security. Do you think I should start first with cloud and then security, or can I combine both at once from the start? Why don't you just go with, so cloud security, why don't you just go with, well, first of all, I think you should start with one. And I would say you start with security, and then you can decide to specialize in cloud or in any other area. That will be my recommendation. But trying to do 2 things at once is never a good plan. The purpose of this session today is to plan right for 2025. Trying to do 2 things at once is never a good plan. I spoke to someone recently earlier in the week, and I asked him one simple question. We spent 15 minutes and I still did not get the answer to that one simple question. And the question was, what role are you trying to secure? After 15 minutes, till now, I still don't have the answer. And this is a big problem. You should be able to, at every point in time, communicate the role, and it's one role, not 7 roles or 3 roles, or I'm versatile. It doesn't exist. You're setting yourself up to fail if you share your eggs across multiple baskets. So focus on one, find one area that you're passionate about or that you care about so much. Or even if you don't care about the area, even if you're not passionate, that you're willing to put in all your efforts into. Just find one area and then do it. Put your efforts into that area, and that's it. Okay. So I'll suggest you start with security and then you layer on cloud, because security is more, it's broader. But once you're into security, you can then specialize in cloud if that's what you want. If that's what you still want, because your goals may change after you get into security. And Victoria, 100% end goal is very important, so you don't end up running in circles. Well, absolutely. Just to tune that, there's no way companies will reduce number of jobs because of AI. Thank you, Maria. So I can see some people have answered the questions. I totally agree. I'll start learning. Yep. Prakash and select questions. I need to answer Prakash's question. There's a question he asked. I find an overview in getting jobs is not enough. Going into depth of any one of the topics will be more beneficial to the students to get more idea of how recruitment is done. I do not understand the question, so I'm going to skip that one. Interesting. Okay, so these are for the folks that are interested in the templates. Yes, I'll send the template out to every single person that have indicated that they are interested. So thanks for that. So Victoria, I know I want to be a BA. I need hands-on and project experience so that I can be great at interviews and land. Yeah, so we've covered all of that. So you can take advantage this incredible offer. It won't last very long, just 2 hours. And there are very limited slots left. Once it goes, that's the end. Even if it goes within in less than 2 hours, that's the end. What tech stack do you offer in software development? That's a great question. Now we can send you the outline. So if you drop us an email, we'll send you the outline, Emmanuel, and then you can kind of go through it yourself. Because again, I don't want to spend the rest of maybe a couple of minutes talking through just software dev. Prakash, I got the answers in your program fees. Okay. Would love to explore the cybersecurity. Do we get a brochure or a demo? You can't get a demo. Just send us an email and we'll send you like an outline. Okay. Do we pay tax on this? No, so it's all in. So this is your Christmas bonus. It's all in. So 989 is the full cost. There's no tax. If you were interviewing for a job, would you mention that you occasionally use AI to perform your job or say it's all you? This is an incredible question, Marcelia. And I hope Marcelia is still on the call because I want to answer this question. Now, let's assume I am interviewing you. I'll tell you my view on AI. I would employ someone that tells me that they use AI over somebody that does not tell me. Why? It's all about trust. It's all about being open and honest. The truth is, you don't have to offer it. If the opportunity presents itself, you can say something generic like, there are lots of AI tools that makes it a lot easier to do certain things. But also remember that you need to consider the privacy component of that statement, right? So you need to prepare a response, prepare how you position yourself. But the reality is, why would you spend 10 hours doing something or 10 hours doing a research that AI can give you the answers to in 5 minutes? It doesn't make sense. So as an employer, I don't want the person that would spend 10 hours doing it manually and still come up with a poor quality output than what AI will give you. That being said, if you're interviewing and the interviewer is old school, then they may not understand what you're saying because a lot of people may not have embraced AI yet, especially the older folks. So this is where you have to be mindful of how you position it, but just read the room. If you see the opportunity to mention it, please do. And if you're talking to someone that understands and you feel is a bit youngish, yes, please do. But if it's like an old school person, and if you see the person as someone that may be a bit rigid and maybe, change averse and tech averse, then just be mindful how you position it. But make sure you talk about the confidentiality side because you're not supposed to put sensitive information into AI. Um, not that it would mess anything up or anything, but it's just it's not nice. It doesn't, you'll be breaching confidentiality, any confidentiality agreement you have with the organization. So be mindful of that. But if let's say you're working in a role where you need to do some research, right? Let's say you're working in the in the fintech or finance sector or in any other industry where you need to do some research. Why would you be reading books, reading articles where you can just go into one of these AI tools and ask it to give you something, and that will be your starting point? Like, it's it's a no-brainer. Why would you use pen and paper to calculate when you have a calculator? It's a no-brainer. I don't think anybody should do that. I don't think anybody should expect you to use pen and paper to calculate figures as opposed to a calculator. Okay. And I think we're at a point where this is all still new. So people are warming up to it and getting more comfortable with it. So Nitya, I want to move to a new city and I'm applying to jobs in the city, but I'm noticing that I'm getting rejected from these applications because I don't already live in that city. What can I do? I'm going to give you free advice. Why don't you just change the address in your resume to the city? This is a simple one. Just change it from the city where you're in to the city where you're going to, because that way you can start having those conversations. But the other aspect to this conversation is maybe that's not the reason why you're being rejected. But if that's the reason, then you can always change the address to the new city. Okay. Oh, Prakash said, I'll hire someone who is loyal and sincere more than computer literate or not. For me, You don't want someone that is loyal and sincere that cannot do the job. The person will be useless. Just bear that in mind. I guess it all depends on the role, and we can narrow down this to the role. But if you hire someone that is loyal and sincere, that cannot do the, I want a driver, right? That will take me from point A to point B. And I hire a driver that cannot do the job, but is loyal and sincere. What's the point? And again, remember, this is a tech planning session, right? So um, let's, yeah, I just want to make sure that we understand, the context of the conversation. Okay, fast learners and loyalty and resilience, I would look for 100%. Like all of these things are just add-ons, right? I'm just talking about from a literacy perspective. Okay, please see a lot of BA roles that need data analysis skills. Would your program include that? Yes. So we do have SQL as part of the program, so that would help. Anika may have missed this. Has anyone asked if your program is great product managers? So we have a project management program, which is incredible. So I would suggest maybe you go on our website, have a look. So it's www.thecareeraccelerators.ca. Do you feel there is age bias in the tech industry? It depends on your location. So depending on where you're physically located, in UK, US, and Canada, there is no age bias, or so they say but the reality is, I'll still take this back to the original thing I said. It's all about value. If you're able to bring value to the table, your age does not matter. Your age does not matter. This is the reason why you have young people in their 20s take up leadership positions. And then you have people in their 50s still independent contributors. It does not matter. It's a competence-based decision, not an age-based decision. And I promise you this, lots of organizations still need people that are competent. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through the questions. There was a question that I saw. I don't know if I've answered it. So do you feel there's an age bias? Okay, I've gone through that. If I'm expected to train an ML model at work, I can train my guy with tech. Okay, so I think this is kind of outside the context of the conversation. So I'll just skip that. To my previous question from Mariam, I'm already in my last semester of cybersecurity engineering since I'm also interested in cloud. I don't know if I should start training in cloud and get the AWS certificate or just continue with cybersecurity and then add cloud. Again, this is where sometimes we confuse ourselves unnecessarily. My suggestion is you're in cybersecurity engineering, wrap it up, find a good bootcamp that can help you prepare and position yourself for the market, because unfortunately the degree or diploma is not enough, because they don't show you the tricks of the trade. They don't handhold you as you make the transition. They don't give you the hands-on experience. You don't have a dedicated mentor. You won't have your resume optimized. So I'll strongly suggest find a good bootcamp, register, and then get all the support from them and get into a cybersecurity role first. Now, once you're in, you've already passed the first test. Then you can now look at what options exist within this world of cybersecurity, one of which could be cloud, but there could be other incredible options that right now you don't know about. So once you get in, you make that decision. At that point, it will be a more informed decision. Okay. Okay. So 2025 batch is not on the list. That will be updated shortly. So what I'll suggest is just select any. So Taiwo, to your question, just select any 2024 batch. So just focus on the month, ignore the year for now, and then we'll rectify that. I would hire a person with a growth mindset as they'll bring new innovations. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say that resume is optimized, LinkedIn is optimized, recruiters are reaching out regularly. How do you bridge the gap or figure out what you need if you're ghosted after asking for feedback? Is getting a mentor the only option here? So incredible question, Anika. There was something I mentioned earlier, which is the fact that you also get, we have an in-house tech recruiter, right? We have an in-house HR expert whose day job is to hire people, hire tech professionals for organization. But what we've done is we have a relationship with them such that they help us assess our students before they hit the market, or even students that are hitting a brick wall to find out what's going on. So in your case, you will also get the opportunity to talk to them and find out what's going on. So it could be a case of maybe your initial response with the HR person is not what they want to hear, so they just don't get back in touch with you. Or maybe it could be something about your resume, or maybe it could be something else. So they could interview you as well to find out exactly what the challenge is, what the situation is, and guide you accordingly. Okay. All right. So it's almost 12:30. I have thoroughly enjoyed this session. And I know it's half an hour longer, but again, it's what does it take for a candle to light another candle? Absolutely nothing. So for me, this is an opportunity to just share the knowledge I have, share the knowledge I've gained over time, help somebody, even if it's one person that I help and set them on the right path. It's a win, a huge win for me. So I'm glad, and I thank everybody that has stayed on this call. You can take a picture of the contact information on the screen. This is how you can get in touch with us. And I personally look forward to helping each and every single person on this call share their success story. Thank you for joining. And this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. There's so much opportunities coming our way. So Sundar wants one of the screens. Is it this one? Thank you so much, Nganda. Our goal is, even if it's one person, and again, sometimes we forget to invest in ourselves. We forget to invest in ourselves and help take us from one level to the next level. I hope you've gained one or two things from today's session. Thank you so much, and then we'll wrap things up. If you want to reach out to us, this is how to reach out to us. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, and have a Merry Christmas and a super prosperous New Year.
This message is for the dreamers, the determined, the brave. Yes, you who have always desired a job in tech and have stepped out of your comfort zone to pursue this dream. This is your year. The tech world is not just for techies, it's for anyone who dares to dream, to learn, and to grow. Remember, you're not just changing jobs, you're transforming lives, yours and those of your loved ones. You might feel out of place at times, unsure, or even overwhelmed. Yes, the road to six-figure tech role may seem daunting, but within you lies the strength to overcome, the capacity to learn, and the power to succeed. Let this new year be the year you redefine what's possible. Your path in tech is not just a possibility, it's your reality waiting to be shaped. We believe in you. Now take the lead. Remember, your only limitations are the ones you set upon yourself. Good luck, and may this year be your best year yet.